My name is Daniel Stone. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to speak on behalf of Dollar General workers and to share their anger as well as their stories. On April 27th, I was terminated from my role at Dollar General as a corporate employee due to efforts taken by myself and others to organize for the explicit purpose of unionization. Dollar General workers are tired of expecting this company to have empathy for them, so instead, we got together to demand fairness for all of us. This company has pushed out releases thanking workers for their efforts, but the outright disgrace in their treatment on the ground made myself and others feel complicit in the building of barriers which keep our coworkers from thriving, and in some cases, keeps them from being able to feed their children. For that, we acted, and this is our story. In early March, as the pandemic began seeping its way into every facet of our lives, I became intrigued in seeing how my company, one that has seen unprecedented growth in the last few years, would respond. Could we be a leader in hazard pay, expanded bonuses that would rival the thousands given out at corporate? Something unheard of by a company that would ensure to our workers, not our investors, that we were looking out for them. The only move that was made at that point was to have senior hours in our stores. Not a single worthwhile investment in our people. It was not enough. From my end, I responded to the CEO's email about the company's COVID-19 plan. In an email, it went directly to Kathy Reardon, the Chief People Officer of Dollar General. In that email, I began asking about paid sick leave and other ideas on how best to support the 140,000 plus people working in stores, distribution centers, and elsewhere. Her response was lackluster, but I did get a bit of a laugh out of her mention of being grateful for employees like me. I definitely feel the love now. I sent another email to Kathy, to which she did not respond. And after a brief conversation with my supervisor, informing him of these efforts, I got the vibe that I was poking where they didn't want someone to be. Now, how a company thinks asking about better wages, protection, and basic decency for the people keeping that company afloat is negative, I'll never know. But that's what they called it. That is for their conscience to debate, not mine. Regardless, I didn't stop there. I continued to send emails to HR, one of which included me asking about the potentiality of myself as a corporate worker going into a store in the Nashville area and helping on the weekends. I did not want my coworkers to be alone in this fight. And I had volunteered to work in a store previously in my time at Dollar General, so I felt compelled to do the same again alongside my fellow associates. HR, however, had different ideas. They said definitively not to do so. Whereas a company is comfortable sending workers without any protection at that time with a barbaric temporary $1 raise for workers and with the promise of $100 bonuses pre-tax, they were more than happy to send my coworkers into the fray, but felt that they were justified in keeping me working safe and secure indoors. That was outrageous, and it set me on a path towards more aggressive union efforts. From that day on, I reached out to Dollar General employees within corporate, in stores, DCs, and elsewhere, on all social media platforms as well as in store. I would speak to them about their grievances, as well as my own, and invite them to join private workers' rights groups for the purpose of unionizing. People from across the business came in describing their desire to fight back against these insulting measures imposed on them by a corporation who makes billions every year. When the executive team of Dollar General, five people made almost $24 million in total compensation in 2019. $24 million. And the second round of investments for 140,000 plus people is split between 25 million. How can they expect workers to be grateful? Do they think that workers will just be silent to being given breadcrumbs as their bosses are given multiple loaves? No. One story that sticks out in my mind is a woman who in late March had to get a test for the virus. Luckily, she was negative. She did not have the virus, but after 14 days of quarantine, she tried to go back to work, only to find she was unable to get on the schedule. With the degrading wages Dollar General already pays, after a few of these shifts missing, she was unable to feed her child. Couldn't afford to cook dinner. These stories are not anecdotes. They're not outliers. They are reality. Reality for thousands of Dollar General workers, and we will not stand for it. People who are quitting because of the company's complete disregard for their safety and livelihoods during a pandemic. Repeatedly, this company has put the onus on workers making $7.25 to do what is right for each other, not on the executives making millions. Truly one of the darkest, most inhumane moments of Dollar General's response was around April 13th. This was about the time when it came to my attention that corporate workers who were still in the building could obtain 5 standard masks with wiring a week, 5 a week. In my building, the majority of workers were not even there to begin with. We'd been sent home already. It wasn't until a week later that I saw posts across social media showing the masks that my coworkers in store were receiving. Everywhere from Arkansas, Georgia, Pennsylvania, New York, elsewhere, were being sent literal t-shirt cutouts as protective masks. I mean, what the hell? What is a multi-billion-dollar company doing sending its most vulnerable t-shirt cutouts instead of actual masks, actual protection? And actually, as of May 6th, I had received more messages showing that stores in the North continue to receive these t-shirts. It's just demonic. It's disgusting. After months of organization and efforts to bring together my fellow coworkers on these issues, I was let go on April 27th. I was terminated, shown the door. Almost 4 years of work for a company being reduced to a 6-minute phone call. And in that phone call, my director cited perceived, quote, bad blood between myself and the company, as well as, quote, negative emails for my termination. But if my story has not made it abundantly clear, let me say it again. I was fired from Dollar General Corporate for the actions of unionization of my fellow coworkers. From corporate workers to store workers and anyone in between, we have created a movement, and they attempted to silence one voice of that movement. They should know by now, though, that voice is only getting louder. Early last week, alongside the UFCW Local 655 in Missouri, we filed a charge of an unfair labor practice against Dollar General, essentially saying that my actions I specifically took are protected under the act, and the termination was not justified. In this country, whatever companies want to say, whatever politicians want to say, we are allowed to speak up for each other, for our working conditions, and we are allowed to fight for better pay, better benefits, and our rights as workers. These companies are not making hand over fist and money during this pandemic without workers. The stock market is not recovering, and rich investors are not getting richer without the exploits of workers. For too long, we have been told in this country to accept our lot in life as workers. But for a group of Dollar General employees, we did not want to accept that anymore and decided that asking for empathy doesn't work. We demand and will get fairness. Thank you again for listening to this story. Please consider donating to a local workers' rights organization. Candidates that you feel will support workers' rights, podcasts like these that shed light on workers' stories and worker advocacy, because we have to come together to continue this fight as Dollar General employees and others to demand the fairness that we deserve, and we'll get it together. If you'd like to follow me, just as a shameless plug, follow me at Daniel G. Stone on Twitter. Would love to connect and hear your stories as well. Thank you again for having me and giving me a chance to speak on this. Solidarity, everybody. Take care. Bye.